All right, we are broadcasting live here, and yes,
Since Mike drowned us out with that soundbite,
what's going on, fellas?
Team Israel's 2-0 in the World Baseball Classic. They were a 200-to-1 shot. I have coined this phrase, and I want to see more people retweet it and hashtag it. This is the playoff for Purim.
And that's right, this week.
And that's a
Playoff push for Purim. Either way,
that's a great accomplishment. But I can't believe that anybody is 200-to-1 in a tournament that nobody cares about.
Listen, Ike Davis, Ty Kelly, Mets are doing it. Phillies fans that are Jewish are rooting for the Mets, Jewish players. It's awesome.
I think it's amazing.
That's all I can tell you. So they're 2-0.
I just love that the World Baseball Classic, it's like what's more notable are the players who decide at the last minute that they're dropping out.
Right.
That's how bad this tournament is.
Well, Team Israel didn't have anybody drop out because they could barely field a team. So there you go.
I think it's excellent that they're 2-0.
I do want to say with little regard or hesitation that Ole Jokinen's retirement means nothing to me.
Wait a second. He's just retiring now.
Well, let's talk about that. Today is Tuesday, March 7th, 2017.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And hello, Hockey World. I am Eklund. You're watching the HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. This podcast comes every Monday through Friday at this time to fill you in on the comings and goings in the hockey world. And yes, one of the big news stories today. Well, it's a little bit of a slow day news-wise, but we'll go besides the playoff races. But yes, Ole Jokinen has announced his retirement, has signed an honorary contract with the Panthers. And Russ, my favorite memory of Ole Jokinen, I know is yours as well. The last game of the regular season in 2010, when he streaked down the boards to try to, when given the opportunity to score a penalty shot goal in the shootout that versus the Rangers and Flyers determined who would win and go on to the playoffs. Jokinen was chosen as the final shooter for the Rangers, and he missed. Leaving
some great players on the bench, John Tortorella, and he missed.
And I think that was all she wrote. And then he was I think he already had his plane ticket booked to Finland at that point.
He did. We wrote about it in my latest Ranger book that's from a couple of years ago, 100 Things Ranger Fans Should Know or Do Before They Die. It's a long title. But in that book, I was in the locker room, and I watched Ole Jokinen every second. And he took off his jersey in disgust. He did. Now, people should read the rest. But the point was he didn't want to be put in that situation either. That was a dumb move by John Tortorella. That stands to this day that it was a dumb move. But also, he couldn't have tried any less. Like, the whole combination of it makes me not care about Ole Jokinen's retirement.
Ole Jokinen was a very controversial character throughout his career.
He was.
As well. And I remember what I'll say this is, honestly, is there are some people in Florida who really do are trying to build a Florida thing, that of a Panthers history. And the problem with the Panthers history is it's kind of, they don't have a big Stanley Cup victory. I mean, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals once. They have the Rats, they have some things that go on there. They've got their own form of stars. And Ole Jokinen was for a long time the best Panther there was, but he was also very controversial about his effort level, even as a Panther. And was always on the trade market. So it's weird. It is kind of a strange thing too. Are they going to retire his number? Is that what's happening here?
I don't know what they're doing. I mean, here's my thought. My thought is to sign that one-day contract in Florida to retire. When he was on Florida, he was practically retired. Like, what's the difference?
He had some good years in Florida. He did have some.
With no pressure, with no playoffs in sight.
He had 3 consecutive 30-goal seasons.
Who cares? No playoffs, no pressure in sight, all the ice time in the world. Come on.
And then he was traded, and he didn't do that well when he was traded.
All I can say is that I remember fondly his 6 games as a Maple Leaf.
Why do you remember them fondly?
Well, it was the first of the teardown deals. He was part of that Cody Franson Mike Santorelli deal that yielded a first-round pick from Nashville. They took him back as a salary dump. Then they flipped him to St. Louis, got a draft pick for him. So that was like the beginning of the reset for the Leafs. So I remember back fondly waiting for him to actually leave after coming there.
Here's the thing about Jokinen. Was he a nice guy? Yes. He's a minus 132 in his career. You can't blame that on the 7 or 8 teams he played for, however number he played for. Right. It was always him. Like that's a big problem when you're a minus 132 in your career. I'm looking up his playoff numbers. The 1 year he was in the playoffs, he had 5 points in 6 games for Calgary. The 1 year. What does that tell you about a guy when he's never on a playoff team?
Well, this is what I'm wondering. His last games were in St. Louis in 2014-15. Right. So 2 years ago. What the hell has he been waiting for 2 years to retire?
I have no idea.
He wasn't playing in the KHL. He wasn't playing in the Finnish league. He wasn't playing in Sweden. He wasn't playing in Switzerland.
He really hasn't played since 2014 because after that, he had 6 points. He had 4 points between the Leafs.
10 points in 62 games.
Yeah, he had 10 points in 62 games. I mean, that's 2013-14 was the last time he had real numbers. But again, he's a minus 132. I get he scored 300 goals. That's great. But if you want to talk about the ultimate goal hanger, soft player, that's Olli Jokinen. Now, he is a nice guy, so I don't want to kill the guy, but the player, not that great.
I have to, and believe me, I'm sure all the analytics people would be cheering and applauding when I say this. But something like this, not particularly this, but, because Jokinen was never known as a defensive player. But,
sorry.
But, right. But
no, not really.
Plus minus is not an accurate indicator of how good or how bad defensively a player is. Because I'll use this as an example because I wrote about it a couple days ago. Jake Gardiner for the Maple Leafs is leading the Leafs plus 22 for the season. Jake Gardiner and Morgan Rielly is the worst at minus 21. Morgan Rielly plays 5-on-5 mostly against the top line. Gardiner is on the second pairing, stays away from the top line, plays a lot of power play, plays in a lot of offensive zone starts, all those things that would contribute to him having a good plus minus. Whereas Rielly is matched up, he plays in the defensive zone a lot of times. That's why it's situational more than anything. Now
it is, but when it's your entire career number, then it's a little bit more proof that okay, he may have been on some bad teams, but he only had 1 or 2 years where he wasn't a minus, and he played all the time on the power play. He had, let's see how many power play points. He had 151 power play points out of his 429. That's a lot.
Yeah, no, that's a ton. I agree. The one thing one of the funny things I remember about Olli Jokinen, besides how many times we talked about him as to trade rumors, because he was
sorry, wait. It's more than that because that was only 151 assists and 97 goals. So that's 250 points out of his 420 are all on the power play.
Okay. I mean, we talked about him a lot. And my favorite moment was actually being in the press box with Jacques Martin next to me as the Olli Jokinen trade rumor thing was going crazy, and him realizing who I was and realizing that, he was, and realizing at that point that he was reading what I was writing about Olli Jokinen. And we had a great, incredibly uncomfortable moment about the whole thing. That was just crazy silly. He, I mean, and the other thing about Olli Jokinen, I found out, when chasing UC Jokinen rumors over the years, because, is that they did not want to play with each other. Which I always thought was an odd thing.
That is weird.
But they're not related. They're not
related. No, I'm not saying they're related. Sorry, not they're brothers. But it's just coincidental. But I remember one time I was talking to someone about UC Jokinen who was going to get traded to either Florida or Calgary or somewhere Olli Jokinen was. And they said he hates Olli Jokinen. There was some relationship that went on from Finland back, I know they weren't brothers, but there's some relation back then that they just did not, and it was a strange thing because, like you say, Olli Jokinen was a good guy,
Yeah, he was.
And I found UC Jokinen to be a nice guy too. So I don't know.
I guess it's just like they didn't like the fact that the other had each other's name.
There was something going on. There's something that happened back in Finland, and we'll never know what it was.
It's like a Newman thing. It's just
Maybe- Maybe he stole his girlfriend or something.
maybe.
Yeah. An interesting list today that I wanted to talk about for a little bit. I didn't warn you about this because I wanted you guys to I wanted to get your initial thought on this, okay? So it is on Fox Sports came out today with the top 25 NHL players under the age of 25.
Okay.
And, we love lists, always,
We deal with lists. I don't know if we love them.
No, but the internet is all about lists. I like lists. I like a good list. I'm a big list person. I've always liked lists even before the internet existed. I used to have the book of lists and I used to go through it. But here we go.
Where do you rank on the lists of show hosts? Do you know? Sports show hosts?
Yeah, I'm really far down that list. Yeah. I'm on the list.
I wonder where we rank as a collective group. I haven't found that list.
I think we're pretty high on the collective group of midday podcast daily hosts. Daily hockey daily midday hosts. I think we're doing pretty well. I think we're up in the top 5 at least there.
There you go.
It's in the top 10 for sure, right?
But we're rising.
Hockey amateur, no money making podcasting hosts. I think
We got an arrow going up.
Yeah, we're with a bullet. Yep. So all right. So give me somebody that you think's on this list, and I will tell. Let's see how far you can go. How far each of you can go here, okay? Because and I'll tell you where they are.
McDavid.
There's 25 of them.
25. We don't have to go through the whole thing, but some of them are interesting. So Mike gets the first pick. He gets McDavid. That is the number 1 player on this list. Okay, that's pretty obvious, I think, right? So
all right.
Maybe not.
I'm gonna go Johnny Gaudreau.
Johnny Gaudreau is number 9 on this list.
Okay.
Matthews.
That gives Mike gives Russ 9 points and Mike 1 where the lowest point wins. All right, so go ahead, Mike. You're up.
Matthews.
Matthews is number 2 on this list. All right, so that you have
he's number 2 already. Seriously, but okay, whatever.
Yes.
So I'm going to go Patrick Laine because he'll be number 3.
Patrick Laine is number 4.
I mean,
so that gives Mike
the ridiculousness of this now, right?
It's just a list, it's a list you're all about.
But if I go by accomplishments, Gaudreau is more accomplished than the other 2 who haven't even played a full season yet.
The rating potential here.
The best players under 25 that they say. I know they're not going to
go ahead. Fine.
The rating potential.
You're going potential. So you got 13-3 right now. So Mike, go ahead, your pick.
Mitch Marner.
Mitch Marner is not on this list.
What?
Right. Not on
They're high then.
What was
They're
that?
high. They are high.
I don't know. I mean, well,
Mitch Marner is not on the top 25 list of players under 25.
Can someone get a GIF of this, please?
No. Throw this list out and wipe your rear end with it. That's how much it's worth. Because Mitch Marner is one of the probably top 5 players under the age of 25. What a friggin' joke.
No, you automatically get 25 points for not getting it right, Mike. So that gives you 27-13. Go ahead and rush.
Hey, Mike, I'm sorry you missed on the list.
I refuse to.
Sean Monahan.
Sean Monahan is, I don't believe, on this list.
Okay,
nope.
You just ended it right now. End it right now.
This is a horrible list.
Clearly, Sean Spicer is the one who put this list together, or Sean Hannity from the Fox Network, because they don't know.
I'm going to go through this list then, since you guys don't want to play my game.
But wait! Before you go through the list, which is fine, we'll respect that. Sean Monahan, in 4 years of play, has 100 goals and 100 assists, 202 points. They got to be crazy. He's 22 years old. They got to be crazy.
Read off the list so we can laugh. We need a good.
All right. McDavid, Matthews. All right. Number 3, Aaron Ekblad.
Okay.
We agree Aaron Ekblad's going to be on this list, right? Number 4, Patrick Laine. Number 5, Alexander Barkov.
See, I would put Monahan before Barkov. They're crazy.
I would put Monahan before Barkov too, but continue.
Number 6, Nathan McKinnon.
Okay.
Number 7, Jack Eichel.
Okay.
Number 8, Mark Scheifele.
Mm-hmm.
So Scheifele's on the list and Monahan's not. Think about how crazy that is for a minute.
Keep going.
I'll take Scheifele over Monahan.
No, you wouldn't.
I would.
Keep going.
Whatever.
I would. I'm sorry. I would. Number 9, Johnny Gaudreau. We talked about that.
Right.
Number 10, Leon Draisaitl.
Okay.
I think Marner is better than Draisaitl.
And so is Monahan, but okay, go ahead.
I'll put Monahan ahead of Draisaitl. Not Marner, not yet, but probably ahead of Draisaitl. 11, David Pasternak.
I mean, he's not even worthy of being on the list. That one half of a great year.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, this guy's valuing him as a superstar. What did he value him as last year when he made his debut?
Number 12, Nikita Kucherov.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Number 13, Seth Jones.
See, Seth Jones, I'm not even sure. He probably should be like 24 or 25, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that. He belongs in the top 25, but not this high. Because he has no offense.
Yeah, one of the best defensemen for sure, but
he really has no offensive game. It's okay. Right. It's not great, but continue.
Number 14, Matt Murray.
Okay.
I'll give you that. Number 15, Philip Forsberg.
Fine.
But I would not put him on this list. I mean, I'm a Predators fan, but Forsberg is way too many.
I would put him on the list, but I wouldn't,
He'd be on the list lower.
We've already knocked. No, because we got to knock people out to get Monahan and Marner on this list, and I put both. I think Forsberg's the first one on this list that I would knock out.
No, he's the second one. You said you would knock out someone 2 picks ago.
Pasternak, I didn't say I would knock out.
No, before Pasternak.
Draisaitl, nope.
No, you said Draisaitl. You would take Monahan over Draisaitl.
No, I did not say. No, I did not. If I said that, I was high for a second. I did not knock Draisaitl out of this
What has
list.
Leon Draisaitl done? He
is crazy talented. He's the second best player on the Oilers, and
he's crazy talent
because he's playing with McDavid.
No, it's not that.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Draisaitl is a fine young player, but he benefits from the fact that he's on the wing with McDavid, just like Yari Curry was a great player, but he benefited from being on the wing with Wayne Gretzky.
Draisaitl had 19 goals last year. He has 23 this year. He's having a terrific year. Yes. But again, Monahan's done it for 4 years. This guy's done it for a year and a half.
And as a center. And as a number 1 center.
They're both technically centers, but Draisaitl plays wing.
Draisaitl plays wing.
Yeah. So number 16, Jonathan Huberdeau.
No way. Come on.
I'd put both Marner and Monahan ahead of him.
I'm with you. I'm knocking Huberdeau off. Okay. Number 17, Zach Werenski.
Okay.
Number 18, Brendan Saad.
No.
His numbers have declined. I mean, he's still having good years, but his numbers have declined slightly since going to Columbus. Not to say
here's the funny thing. He has 24 more points than Monahan in another full season, and he makes the list, and Monahan doesn't. Stop. Seriously, stop.
I'm with you on the
no, Brandon Saad.
Not right. Huberdeau's the only. Huberdeau is the Huberdeau.
I was one of the only people that liked Brandon Saad in the draft, but let's not overvalue him here.
Yeah, Brandon Saad. I mean, his points stayed even with Columbus. His goals went up. So I will correct myself. This year he's only got 20 goals in 64 games, so he's not going to match his career high that he had last.
He's more than a goal scorer, on that team. He's.
That's fine, but
he's an all-around player. He could win.
That's fine, but when you're talking about guys like this, I mean, this list is based on more of a hunch than it is on actual.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
Okay.
Number 19, Nikolai Ehlers.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
You are. Number 20, I have a problem with this one too. Ryan Johansson.
Oh, big problem. He should not be on the list right now.
Yeah, I just think he's been
crazy
inconsistent. Number 21, Rasmus Ristolainen.
I agree.
No.
I agree. I think he's a good, I think
close, but I think he can go either way.
I think he's better. I think he's a top 25 more than Seth Jones is.
Interesting. Seth Jones versus
there's an offensive component to Ristolainen that Jones doesn't have. He's a point man on the power play. He eats up minutes like Jones does. He's big. He's imposing. I think overall he's a better defenseman. I think they're both really good, but I think Ristolainen's a little better.
Well, here's an interesting one. Scheifele has literally 12 more points than Monahan in like 12 more games.
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing is, this is sort of revisionism, but Scheifele is great now. He's been great this year, but before that,
last year too. He had a great year last year too.
Yeah, but
you're gonna kill me. Monahan is on this list at 24. Sorry, but that's fine. It's
okay. 24. Then Marner.
Oh, okay.
All right, but still going down. Okay, so after Ristolainen, It's spelled differently than Reijo Ruotsalainen, right? That was different.
Yes.
Ristolainen.
Ristolainen.
And Ruotsalainen, right? Okay, cool. All right. I always get that confused. Number 22 for them is Jonathan Drouin.
Okay.
Shouldn't be on the list.
And I'm kind of with you on that one. I mean, it's funny because Jonathan Drouin is such an interesting, controversial player in so many ways.
Oh, no, he is. I mean, but he hasn't really.
And you've been a Jonathan Drouin supporter, obviously, Russ. You've been all about Drouin.
Yeah, me too. I like him, yes.
But
that's the thing. I defended him. I liked him. He played great last night, but he still hasn't put it all together enough.
Right, and for all those people who would complain about me, putting on Marner as a rookie after only like 50 games, Drouin really hasn't done anything until last year's playoffs and this season. I mean, in terms of stepping up to a higher level. So essentially, he's just like a rookie in terms of contributing and making a significant contribution.
I'll go with that. Number 23, John Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson deserves it.
No, I like him. I think he's a good goaltender, but he's had injury problems, and he's not really carried. I mean, he really hasn't. I mean, Freddie Anderson is the one who carried them through the playoffs, going to the conference final. Played last year in the first round when they lost to Nashville. Gibson really hasn't carried them forth anywhere. So I think he can be a top 25 guy, but not yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I go up and down with Gibson, obviously.
I like him. I think he's a good goaltender. I'm just saying he
can be amazing. He can also be really bad. So
his resume right now.
Yeah. All right, 24 is Sean Monahan. Sorry about that. Still really low. I mean, he should be higher than that. It is. And 25, Dougie Hamilton.
No way.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And I'm going to give you a guy in a minute that, because I'm trying to get the comparison to Draisaitl, that is better points per game than Draisaitl. And hold on, here it is. All right. So Chris Kreider right now is at 0.56 points per game for his career. He's got a career high of 24 goals. He's got more points than Draisaitl in his career. Draisaitl is 0.66. Yep, he's 0.66. He's got 115 points. So he does have more points per game. So that's how close it is between him and Draisaitl, and that's why Johansson shouldn't be on the list, and Kreider probably should be.
Just to clarify, is the list 25 players 25 and under or under 25?
Yeah, because there's a player obviously that's 25 years old that I thought about too, Mike. I was just looking at it myself. Let me see if I can find that. I can go back to the top list. The 25 best players under 25. All right, so
we're talking about everybody from the 2011 draft forward.
Like right now, as an example, Draisaitl's got 44 goals. Kreider's got way more than that.
Right. Yeah. No,
I mean, I get that Draisaitl's starting to peak, but he's also playing with McDavid, which is a fair point.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a player who's 25 that
Kreider. Just to give you an example, Kreider has 85 goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is great. I mean, Kreider does not get nearly the.
No.
I mean, not nearly.
He's going to get 30 goals this year.
Yeah, that's true.
So who do you got
on this list? Parayko's. That's about that one. That's a good one.
Parayko should be on the list.
Yes.
Lately, I would put him above Seth Jones. I definitely would.
Parayko instead of Seth Jones every day of the week.
Yep. And I like Seth Jones.
They're going with potential. I get it. Guys who look flashier.
Guys even potential, I think Parayko. And I'll give Parayko is a flashy looking player too, in my opinion. Yeah. So
no, he is. I think the problem, what the person thought about on this list was a lot of this year. A lot of it's this year.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it is potential. But guys who have actually proved it for the first 4 or 5 years, not all of them got rewarded. And that's fine, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Panarin is 25 years old in like 2 months, but he should be on that list.
He should be on the list. I mean, it's not even a question.
It's under 25. If it's 25 and under, Panarin's on this list. No question about it, right? So I think.
Yep.
Yesterday, right? So that's the list. That was always kind of fun to do and get everybody riled up. I would have Marner would be right on the edge of it for me, and but with potential. I guess you look at potential. I mean,
based on the way they did potential with a lot of other guys, I'd have to put Marner on there because that's like criteria.
How about Dylan Larkin?
Yeah, Dylan Larkin. Now he's tailed off a little this year, but that's fine. Dylan Larkin probably deserves to be on the list.
Yeah, I mean, if you did this list last year, Dylan Larkin would be on that list.
Oh, absolutely. If you did it last year, he'd be on it.
Yeah, similar in that way,
Yeah, and the
Listen, if you did this list in, like, I don't know, 1984, Pat Falloon would be on it.
Yeah, you're right. No, there's no question.
No, because Pat Falloon was 13 years old and
whatever year. Shut up.
13 years old. Oh my goodness. All right, let's so now this happened right after we got off the air yesterday. 23 hours ago, according to my calculations, the Golden Knights have made their first player transaction in team history and signed forward Reed Duke, who is the only Golden Knight right now, which is pretty crazy. Think about that. He's the only guy. So if you have like some kind of like, we need to send a player down. Okay, we got to send Reed Duke down. He's the only guy we got. That's all we have. So
he's the guy.
I guarantee, like, in the marketing department's got to be like, do we contact him? Do we like put him on pictures? What do we? Is this a player that's going to play for them next year, Russ?
I mean, will they force him to play there next year? Is the question. Maybe. He's 21 years old. He's an overager. He does have some playmaking ability. When you're an overager and you're scoring in juniors, I don't give you a lot of credit for scoring goals because you're a lot bigger, stronger, you're older. And so you have to take that in consideration. He's definitely an AHL talent, and he might be a depth NHL guy. But on an expansion team, that's a whole different ballgame. Like, that changes the whole prospect world because Reed Duke, if there wasn't an expansion year, wouldn't be signed right now. That's probably the reality because nobody had signed him when Minnesota didn't sign him after drafted him, right? But now he has a home, which is great. I think it's great. It gives him a chance. I think he's got a chance like anybody else has a chance. But if you tell me, do I think he's going to be a long-term Vegas Knight? Probably in their system more than for the actual team.
It's worth a shot in the dark, and he benefited from the fact that Nolan Patrick was hurt with Brandon because he's got 67 points in 54 games. But yeah, I mean, nobody knows. I mean, I have a feeling that he may be in the lineup for the opener because he was the first guy signed, one of those PR type of things. But do I think, who knows? You can't really say, oh, yeah, he's going to be an NHLer.
Look, he's a good playmaker. He's got a pretty good two-way game. So there's a chance in my mind that he could possibly play some NHL minutes for, in like the bottom six. But again, this is an expansion team. We don't know how good this team will be. He might be playing opening night because they're not as good as we think they're going to be. Like, we just don't know.
It's true. I agree.
It's the unknown.
It's very much unknown. Now, an interesting twist here. I don't know if you guys have been following the the Josh Hosang controversy, which is dwelling out there. Have either of you heard about this?
Yeah. You know what? If
there's no controversy.
Okay, so here's the controversy. He's chosen number 66 to be.
No, there's no controversy here. This is not.
No, there is controversy because no one has worn number 66 since Mario Lemieux.
Who cares? It's only one team that matters.
Has the league retired number 66 like they did 99? No, there's no controversy.
If it had 666, if it had 666, then I would say, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't wear that.
Should they retire 66's number? That's the question.
No.
Should Mario's number be retired?
No. No offense to Mario.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal player, but are we going to?
I don't think we should get into retiring numbers league wide. I wasn't.
Right, that's why Gretzky was like a universal one. Like Jackie Robinson was a universal one for baseball.
I remember when it happened with Gretzky. I was not even super thrilled about it then. And I'll tell you, and this is the reason why. And I'm a Gretzky fan, and I know not everybody on this panel is, but
don't ask Mike because
but here's the thing: like, what happens when you retire Gretzky's number league wide is that as a kid you wear the number of your heroes, right? So it's like you have these players wearing their numbers, wearing I used to wear 31 because of Pelle Lindbergh, and people wore 99 because of Wayne Gretzky, right? Now no one can wear 99 in the NHL when they get there because of their that to me is kind of messed up. I think that's really.
No, it's not. It's showing that if there wasn't a Gordie Howe, he is the Babe Ruth of their league. Like, that is it. He is the guy. There's no – listen, here's what the thing about hockey.
There is a great Hal. They never retired number 9.
Here's the thing. People who don't even know the game of hockey know who Wayne Gretzky is.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's true, but that you can say that about a lot of.
No, who else could you say that about?
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth, yes, Babe Ruth. Here's the amazing thing about Babe Ruth. This is what I always tell people. In an era with, like, no Twitter, all that stuff, no internet, no TV, just radio and just newspapers, they knew about Babe Ruth when he went over to Japan. He was a big star immediately there.
Yep.
That's how big Babe Ruth was.
Tom Brady's number should be retired league-wide.
No.
He's
Especially now with
as
the
big as Wayne Gretzky was in the NHL.
That's the thing. I wasn't in favor of retiring Gretzky. I mean, I understood why baseball did it for Jackie Robinson. It was symbolic.
I got that. That was beyond the sport. It was beyond everything. I got that.
Right, exactly. But Wayne Gretzky, okay, is he a great player? Is he arguably the greatest player of all time? I don't think so, but yes, a lot of people think he is. But okay, are you going to retire Howe? No. Are you going to retire Lemieux? No. Are you going to retire Rocket Richard? No. You don't. You just don't do it. You don't do it.
He dominated the sport to the point that probably no one's ever going to break his records.
Right now,
that's true. There's not. This is not against Gretzky. To me, it's the idea of kids should be able to wear the number of their hero. It shouldn't be.
They can. No one's going to arrest them if they walk on the street with number 99.
Question is, did the NHL come out and say? Did the NHL come out and say nobody can wear 99? Did they say that?
I think it's implied, Mike.
Okay, but no, but say Major League Baseball, they came out and they said, okay, anybody who's wearing 42 now, you can wear it to the end of your career. Right. Like Mariano Rivera, and I think Mo Vaughn was wearing 42.
Here's the thing. I don't think the NHL came out and said it. And the funny thing is, if someone actually went to Gretzky and asked him, he'd probably say you could wear it.
Right. But they see, that's the thing. They didn't say that you couldn't wear it. So honestly, if Josh
I'm going to look that up. I think they did.
If Josh, well, okay.
I remember when this happened and how it was a really big controversial topic, and I talked to a lot of people about it as it happened. I remember them saying that that his number would not be worn by another player in the NHL. I remember this whole statement that was made. I got to look it up, but I believe that they did say that they couldn't.
I'm fine with it. I don't see the issue. He's dominant. He was an ambassador the minute he got into the sport. People knew about him at the age of 13, which is insane because there's no other hockey player other than maybe Sidney Crosby that you knew about at the age of 13 in recent memory.
No, I'm with. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Gretzky. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Gretzky. And I agree that he transcended the sport and his records will never be broken. And he's the best player of all time, in my opinion. He really is. But I do think that the number league wide, and because you knew this was going to happen. Like it's great that here we are in 2017 and we have a Gretzky and Lemieux fight going on. This is continuing from our childhood, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing, Eck. What if young Danny Markov goes into the league and wants to wear number 99? No, you don't want that kid wearing 99. You don't want some person who's not going to be in the league very long wearing the number of a guy that was a legend like that. Now Lemieux,
you wore it on the Oilers, Blues, and
nobody else is going to wear it in Pittsburgh. That's all that matters.
Pittsburgh, right. I agree. Well, the Elbow, which is a really funny website, did a story on this today, which is called "NASA confirms the universe still operating smoothly despite Ho-Sang's jersey number choice." Definitely recommend checking this out. It's very funny. Scientists.
Just so you know, Mike doesn't like to talk about this. He runs one that competes with that called the Armpit, but he doesn't like to. He doesn't like to publicize it.
Wow. Scientists of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, confirmed on Monday morning that the Earth's place in the solar system remained unchanged over the weekend, despite Josh Ho-Sang's decision to wear Mario Lemieux's old number 66 last week. So, thousands of people voiced their concern for the state of the world when the Islanders rookie made his decision public on Thursday. And there's some votes from there were votes, people from Penguins fans. It's absolute outrage that a young guy can come into this league thinking he can wear a jersey that hasn't been retired league wide and expect there won't be catastrophic consequences. Yeah, this has nothing to do with my NHL allegiance. It has everything to do with what's right and wrong in the world. Someone said.
This is contrived BS, is what it is. That's really what it is.
It's a hockey onion. It's funny.
It's just fun. It's just fun.
Anyway, there was something unusual out of the ordinary yesterday that Russ and I talked about, I think we should talk about, is after the deadline, an actual trade happening, which was New Jersey trading Brandon Gormley to the Senators for, quote, future considerations, which, I mean, no, Russ, he was on a two-way deal. He was up with the Devils, I think, a little while, but not a long time. This is a guy who played in the NHL for a while with Arizona, and I'm not. See, this is the thing. I'm not sure there was no major injury in Ottawa, so I think this is an AHL deal. But you just don't see many deals happen after the deadline, even though they can happen after.
Or it could be a next year deal, or it could be exposed to Vegas deal.
I think it's a Vegas thing. I do. That's when I talk to somebody. That's the impression I got. But I will say this: I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often because, I mean, it is a matter of getting into the playoffs, right? There is that little. I mean, can't play them in the playoffs. I know, but if you're a team that has like a very, very injured defense suddenly, and those guys are going to get healthy eventually, I'm surprised we don't see this more often. Honestly.
Well, I'm going to say this: we already know how bad the Devils did at the deadline. Dalton Prout, if they think he's a career Devil now, they're sadly mistaken. They actually, apparently, he got. I guess, Mike, you said he was explained to the Devils public as a prospect.
Well, listening to the Devils broadcast, I was just flipping through the radio, driving somewhere the night after the deadline, the night of the deadline, and their radio broadcast said, well, young defenseman Dalton Prout. Dalton Prout's 25 years old. He's been in the league for at least 4 years. He's not a young defenseman. He's a veteran, an NHL veteran. He's just not very good. He's not bad. It's just, he's a 6'7" defenseman, and he's 26. 26. You got him for a 6'7" defenseman in Kyle Quincy. So it's not exactly,
But you got a guy who literally has 3 points this year and 33 in his career. Right. For Quincy, who had playoff value. Here's the thing. This is what I want to tell Devils fans. Devils fans and 76ers fans have one thing in common. Do you know what that is?
The ownership.
Yeah, the
ownership. And so far, in a couple of years of ownership, for both of these teams, we're seeing very marginal results. They're making money. Josh Harris makes money. But as far as the teams showing us something, they're showing us very little.
Now, Gormley didn't play in the NHL this year. He played in the NHL last year with Colorado and Arizona the year before that. But he played 35 games with Albany. So, now I don't know if that rule applies to the AHL. Like, if he can't play in the playoffs for Ottawa, but maybe he can play in the playoffs for Binghamton if Binghamton makes the.
I'm sure he might be able to. But again, Eck, what do you think about this? This is an owner who owns two teams in two different cities and two different sports, and both fan bases are dying for their teams to be competitive again, and so far neither are.
Oh, I'm totally with you. The 76ers thing is unbelievably ridiculous.
It is.
It's like legendarily ridiculous. Like the
way where people will write about it.
It's like the Trump election. It's just going to go down in history as something like that moment when like everything went crazy because people. I mean They took the concept of tanking to a totally different level and didn't get any better as a result of it.
But this isn't
players, but they got injured players, and we don't know like how that's going to work out for them.
I don't follow basketball at all, and I know the Sixers have done horrible with their draft picks. This
is Russell. This is the tanking method from the movie Major League. Let's get so bad that we can move this team down to some.
Well, I don't think that's what they're trying to do. I think Josh Harris makes money. So I will give him credit for that. But like with the Devils as an example, because I know more about the Devils than the Sixers. I know a little bit about the Sixers. The Devils, they've drafted okay. But as far as what we would call their major league roster, the Devils roster, it's been filled with journeymen and older players and some of their prospects. And it's just a mishmash. Can anybody talk me out of that?
No.
I
think part of this, though, has to do with what Lou Lamoriello was doing there at the end too.
Sure, but we're 2 years out from that.
Yeah,
and they were under different ownership at that point and under monetary constraints, and now they're under different ownership with Ray Shero there. And we have to give them credit. They made the best deal of the year Taylor Hall for Adam Larson.
Yes.
So, I mean,
but they have nobody to play with Taylor Hall.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's one guy. I mean, but I'm saying
they have him, they have Zaka, like they have very little. They haven't done much to build that up. Expectations from fan base is way down. It's just it's a weird situation. It's like if you're rebuilding, you're not really in the full mold of rebuilding. If you're retooling, it's not working so far because you're not getting results. They have a terrific coach. Don't get me wrong. A couple of years ago when they were competitive, they shouldn't have been, but they were.
Yeah, and to your point, yes, they have very few offensive assets, and that's because they played that shutdown defensive style for so many years. I don't think they really developed offensive players. But now the problem is the area where that team has been strong for most of the last 2 decades. They're horrible on defense. They're very weak defensively. I mean, they have
young guys that maybe will get them out of that. But you're right. I mean, today they are.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
What are they going to do in free agency? Like, if I'm the Devils, I have to go out and get a couple of top free agents. If not, then I'm going to think that you're basically just trying to get to the cap floor like you are in the NBA. And that's a bad thing to do.
This is the free agent year that you may not actually want to be stuck with money because you may have to actually spend it. And
but that's the thing. Okay, so there's this thing where the Sixers have literally signed guys just because they have to get to the cap floor, although they're allowed to distribute that money to other players on the team, but they chose not to do that. Like, they didn't give anybody raises or anything. They just brought in those guys on those contracts that they literally signed them for just to reach the cap floor and then get rid of the guys, right? And then they go on to other teams.
It's very reasonable to expect with their USA Hockey ties, with the fact that they're in the tri-state area, that the Devils will be a serious bidder for Shattenkirk. But if you think that Shattenkirk is going to go to New Jersey over the Rangers, that the Rangers make a comparable offer, you're delusional. I mean, he probably will go to he'll probably use the Devils like teams have used Buffalo and Toronto in the past as a plausible option or a plan B, and then he goes to where he wants and gets his money. So that's the thing. Shiro has to actually get people to sign there. And after Shattenkirk, I mean, this is are they going to spend big money on TJ Oshie? Probably not.
I mean, they have to do something. These guys are in the Metro, and they're barely competing. Barely.
Yeah. And I feel sorry for Corey Schneider because Corey Schneider is one of the best goalies in the league, and he's stuck behind a bad defense and a team that doesn't score enough for him.
They have a -40 goal differential.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Just a little public service for a second here. So, as you guys know, the Adidas is taking over the jerseys next year and the merchandising in general for the NHL. So right now, if you go to Reebok.com and you search for NHL stuff, you can buy anything at 50% off if you use a promo code NHL50. So you're looking at so that's like half price of authentic jerseys. You're talking about things like like you can get an authentic Maple Leafs jersey for $80, that kind of stuff. So hats and all kinds of, everything imaginable. Hey, there's hats, there's hoodies, there's all kinds of things. Like I was looking at just going through it. It's hard to find. You have to search NHL, but like this is something. Like, for example, check this out. So, you have to. It's hard. It's not obvious on Reebok that there's any on Reebok.com. It's not obvious that there's NHL stuff for sale. It's a really bad site. But if you search NHL stuff, so like take for example this is like a really nice Maple Leafs pullover hoodie, $85, but that's going to be 40. That's 42. So it's like everything. This is before the 50% off stuff. So it's pretty good.
That is good.
Looking to do anything. This was sent to me, and I thought it was pretty neat. We're not, of course, they're not advertisers for us at all. I'd love for them to be, but they're not. But yeah, there you go. So
here's what I want to say. The last thing about the Devils, because this is the most legit thing I could say about them. That is really, it's got to be getting to people. As an example, the best scoring team is Pittsburgh with 223 goals. The worst scoring team is the Devils with 147 goals.
Yeah, no, it's not even close. It's not even close. And Taylor Hall has really not performed this year.
But what can he do? You can't do it alone.
I know, but he's got this weird thing where he can't score at home.
Yeah.
Very strange. I don't know. It's I want to mention before we get out of here too that Joe Thornton gets his 1,000th assist last night. So
that's a big deal
on an empty net goal. But there aren't that many players in NHL history who have 1,000 assists. So
no,
I think it's something like 8 or something like that maybe. But yeah, it's really impressive and still going strong at this point. The Rangers Lightning game was a good one last night. If you got a chance to watch
it was. I wanted to mention that real quick because on the pregame they were all about Tanner Glass. Beginning of the game, there's a stage fight with Wachowski and Tanner Glass.
Yep.
Nothing came out of that. They got no momentum. They got nothing. The score was still nothing. Neither team gained from it. Neither team lost from it. All I kept hearing about was how Tanner Glass helped them. I love Ron Duguay, but he had a funny moment where in between periods, he showed a part of the game where Tanner Glass beat Victor Hedman to the puck on the boards and said that Hedman let him get it because he didn't want to tangle with Tanner Glass. And I'm thinking, really? Victor Hedman is worried about Tanner Glass and what he might elbow him if he could reach him? I just – those kinds of things are just ridiculous. The fact that they may use him now in the playoff stretch is ridiculous. I mean, I get that their fourth line needs a little forechecking, a little mustard, but you know what? Tanner Glass takes bad penalties. You don't need anybody to fight. That staged fight was one of the worst things I've seen all year because it was meaningless. The reason the Rangers won the game, the lead was buried. It was buried on the New York Post article that talked about Tanner Glass. It was buried everywhere. Antti Ranta played out of his mind, and he played great. And he doesn't ever get the credit he deserves.
I was going to write an article about that. He's the best backup goalie in the NHL right now, and
it's not even close, is it? I mean,
no, it isn't. And it's he's great.
Honestly, I know he's hurt and he's going to be out for another 3 or 4 weeks. But Scott Darling has put up some pretty good numbers in Chicago.
And there's reasons that you're seeing Crawford rumors that they could move Crawford out at the end of the year. But they're not going to do that obviously with Lundqvist. But yeah, Antti, he's been phenomenal, just off the chart.
I mean, the Rangers will probably lose him to Vegas, but my point is this guy gets no love. The reason they won the game is Drouin makes a great shot in overtime. He makes a great save. The puck goes right out to Mika Zibanejad, jets down the ice and gets the goal. That doesn't happen if it's 5-on-5, but it does happen in 3-on-3.
Right.
And good for Zibanejad, but give Ranta a little credit here.
And for the playoff race in the East, I mean, from the wild card perspective, or the teams in the Atlantic trying to catch, Ottawa beating Boston last night in regulation was big because Boston's only 4 points ahead of Toronto, 5 points ahead of Florida and Tampa. Tampa gets a point out of that game. So right now you've got the Islanders at 71, Toronto at 70, Tampa and Florida at 69, and Philadelphia at 68. This is going down to the last game.
It is. I will tell you the one thing Tampa has done that it's a nice move. They brought Adam Ernie up. He is a really strong, powerful guy. He barreled in a couple of times, got close to getting a goal a couple of times. Same as Mantha. These big guys, sometimes they take a little longer, but he will hit the same way Mantha did when he hits. And if he happens to do it down the stretch drive, that's a heck of a player for Tampa to add to their lineup, which shows that their system is deep. So even if you didn't like what they did at the deadline, they promoted, and they have guys to promote. So they're still in it, and they got rid of all those guys. This is why Yzerman was number 1 on my list yesterday, because they're still this competitive.
Yeah,
and they made all those moves.
I mean, the thing that was ignored was the fact that by moving out some players, you opened up space for others. And I was telling Russ before the webcast, a guy like Braden Point, who has been playing well all year, but I watched that game a lot, and Braden Point was flying all over the ice, and he's
good on face-offs. He does a lot of things.
He's being given a bigger role. And I think that was one of the contributing factors to them moving Filppula, because they figured Point filled that role, and now Stamkos was maybe a couple weeks from being back.
Yeah. Tonight we have 9 games on tap, and there are some big playoff implications. The Flyers and Sabres.
Who's starting for that one? Who's in net?
I think it's Mason.
We have now gotten to the point.
Someone explain this. It's just like, okay, they play Neuwirth every day up to the trade. They extend Neuwirth, and then they go to Mason for the rest of the way.
I heard it explained that Neuwirth was basically signed to the 2-year deal for expansion purposes.
It's very possible, but the optics of it are weird when now they're playing Mason like crazy again.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what happened. I'm talking to people about. I've heard that theory, but I don't think that's the case. I don't
But
think.
you have to understand this. If nothing else, Mike, you can see why the fan base gets confused.
Yes.
Because the expansion draft happens before the UFA period. So I mean, to me, it's like
right, but nobody is going to protect a UFA. Like, Mason doesn't need protecting, and they're going to protect. They're probably going to protect Stalock, probably, right?
Not Stalock, Stellaris, yes.
Stellaris. God, sorry.
I think they will protect. I think that's wrong. I think they'll protect Neuwirth. They're going to need a backup goalie. They're not going to sign 2 goalies. If Mason walks, they've got to keep Neuwirth as a backup.
It could definitely happen that way too, Eck. I mean, I don't know which way it's going to happen. I would have thought the same way you did a week ago that it was a mortal lock that was going to happen. But then Mason's playing and he gets hot, and now I'm thinking I don't know what they're doing.
No, but they've been down this road with Mason before. I mean, unless Mason goes to get them into the playoffs and wins.
Well, what if he does? Okay, let's just go down that road for a minute.
Then yes, okay, fine. But the goal, the plan here was.
Here's the thing. If he does that and gets them into the playoffs and he is unsigned, he then holds the hammer.
Right.
In negotiations.
He doesn't because the Flyers, the Flyers are going to, if the Flyers get into the playoffs, they're playing the Caps, right? So the Capitals are going to be, it's almost virtually impossible for them to make it past the first round. And I think the only way Mason holds the hammer is if he goes into like the 3rd round of the playoffs. I mean, it has to be something significant because they've been down this road with him long enough now that they know kind of what they get with him. I think they really signed Neuwirth to protect him.
They may have. They may
feel that way because of the fact that I didn't think I talked to those people right the night before, and they were not going to sign because he was afraid of getting hit in the expansion draft. So something was said to them that changed this, that made him sign that contract in the 12 hours between the time that we talked to him right after the game to then. Something.
The Flyers are just going hot hand. That's it. But it wasn't like Neuwirth's hand was cold.
Well,
I know. Now they're going to make. It's just funny because.
I think people put 2 and 2 together because Neuwirth was a McPhee draft pick in Washington, and that's why. And you only have to expose a goaltender who is at least an RFA and offered a qualifying offer, so they could have gotten away with that with one of their other goaltenders who was not exempt. But I don't know. I mean, I personally think, and I remember you saying back maybe a few months ago that the Flyers might be in on Ben Bishop.
Completely who they're in on.
Their penchant is always to try to get a big.
And
name.
I heard another name today that they could be in on too, and I'm going to write about this afternoon. And that is Ryan Miller. So.
Yeah, but Miller doesn't want to come to the East Coast.
Doesn't want to come to the East Coast, I know, but we don't know the options that Miller's going to have necessarily. He can stay in Vancouver, I guess, but. The Flyers might throw a boatload of money at him. So that's
that sounds a lot like John Van Beesbrook back in the day.
Oh, yeah. For sure. One of the games tonight we have Detroit, Toronto going on. That's a big win for Toronto, obviously. The Rangers in Florida. So all these games have implications in the East as well for the wild card. St. Louis and Minnesota, which will just be a good game. Potential preview of the first round of the playoffs. Colorado, Carolina. Not a whole lot of people are going to be watching that one. The Islanders and Edmonton. The Islanders don't play the Oilers well, so this is going to be a big game for the Islanders tonight if they can win this game. But I have the Edmonton Oilers winning that game in my projection thing because they don't play them well.
This is a problem now for the Islanders as this trip goes on. When does this trip end for them?
I think they have 2 more games.
This trip could really do them in.
But once
Vancouver after this, and then they go to St. Louis after that. So this is not an easy one for them.
Once it's over with, though, their schedule lightens up.
Yeah.
A little bit of.
I got to finish my thing here. Montreal, Vancouver, which is not, which is, it's an important game for the Canucks who are still battling it. And Bo Horvat, by the way, has started to play really, really well.
He's been great all year, Bo Horvat.
He's starting to get the recognition for it.
He's under 25 too, but hey, what are you?
Yep. And the Predators and the Ducks reliving their playoff series from last year. The Predators and Ducks, that'll be a good one. So go ahead, Mike. Sorry, you're good.
A little bit of strategic non-news from the NHL general managers gathering in Boca Raton, according to Chris Johnston from Sportsnet. New York NHL GMs were told this week that there is no update on Olympic participation.
Oh, come on!
Are you kidding? I mean, this is what I mean. It's March the 7th. Just say you're not going.
All right, here's my
Just
new
get
theory
it over with.
You want to know my new
You're
theory
going,
on
Mike.
this? They are going to wait till the day after the Stanley Cup, and send a release out. That's what they're going to do.
Just get it over with. We all know
Is
you're
that possible?
this
Are they
goes-
going to wait till that day?
The longer this goes, the higher chance grows that they're going. I'm telling you, that's that. Because if you're gonna say you're not going, you say it already. There's no
That's
point.
counterintuitive, though, Ak. I mean, if they were going to go, you'd say that they
No,
were.
because there's no rush if they're going. There's a rush if they're not going. So the U.S. and Canadian teams have to put together a whole bunch of crap if they're not going. Okay, but
I feel
if they are
bad for
going,
that one editor. There's one editor out there that has told his writer, "I want you to be there when they announce the Olympic decision." And now this guy's had to show up at like every single NHL event for the last 6 months, and they still don't announce it.
I mean, the only opportunity that, like you said, Russ, the only opportunity between now and the draft, it's like you'll have the 2 days in between the end of the season and the beginning of the first round. There's that 2 to 3 day lull. That's one opportunity. That's one opportunity, and the one before and after the Stanley Cup final. But that they're going to want probably after they're going to want that left for expansion. So either before the Stanley Cup final. Otherwise, I mean,
and then you got the awards. Between the awards and the draft, there's another day or two.
totally. I know the NHL, the way they work, and this is my specialty with the NHL and the way they work business-wise. This completely sounds like the NHL has put something to the people involved and said, if you can do this, we'll go. And that's what this sounds like to me. But then,
Okay, and it might be, but the idea that
no reason for them to delay like this. There's no reason.
But then here's the thing, okay? If that's the thing, be a little more transparent and let people know that there is a negotiation.
Well, here's the thing about that, though. If I know the NHL is only transparent when it behooves them to be transparent. So if they're transparent here, then that request is something crazy. That is something that the NHL would not want out there.
Well, how about this? It's very simple. How about you just have a statement so at least the people down there covering it say, we are still in negotiations.
Well, that's implied by saying that we're not.
It's not implied.
It is implied when you say you don't know whether you're going or not.
But who are they negotiating with? Are they negotiating with the IOC? Are they negotiating with the IIHF? Are they negotiating with the NHLPA to get concessions that they tried to get before? That's what we don't know.
That's a good point.
My theory is they're negotiating with Comcast, trying to get Comcast to throw in money to make this happen. I think that's really.
But then just say we are having a meeting with all parties concerned, and that is still ongoing. When they do it this way, it just seems like they're putting off the inevitable. That's what I think of when I see this.
The only thing about that, Russ, is if they come out and say we're like I just said, we're negotiating with Comcast. That means they're going. They're just looking for somebody.
No, you just say you negotiate with all parties concerned. That's fine. Then at least
the fact that they're not talking is is another reason I believe they're not negotiating with Comcast, because Comcast is a business partner of theirs, and they need to keep everything cool on that. They can't do anything. They can't have it be like they're fighting with Comcast. Right. They have to make it look like, so if Comcast is trying to work out something is happening behind the scenes here that makes the NHL think that they could possibly still go, even though I think they don't think that their request is going to be met. I think I've talked to people. I think their request is not going to be met in their mind, but until they're told it's not met, they're leaving this open. And the only people who are really getting screwed by that at the end of the day is Hockey Canada and Hockey USA, who have to.
So here's what's going to happen on July 2nd, after Bob McKenzie goes to the cottage and the trading, season is open, the signing season is open. They're going to come out and say there's a press conference the next day about the Olympics, and everybody's going to have to come back from vacation and from the cottages.
Not for us, Russ. We never go to cottages here at HockeyBuzz.com. We stay going all year long.
Okay.
We'll be at the shore, but yeah.
Come on, you stole my line.
All right, let's go to the NHL Draft Lottery Simulator. Back for the rest of this year.
I sure hope it has Vegas included in it.
It doesn't.
Well, no, because aren't they locked?
They're automatically picking. No, they're automatically picking third, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
No, they're not picking third. I'm sorry. They're picking between second and fourth. That's what
Right.
Second. So, between,
That's
they're picking between second and third.
that's
We talked about this yesterday. They've been told they're picking between second and third. That
Right.
doesn't mean they're picking third,
Right.
because the team that has the third pick wants to still think they have the third pick in the draft.
Right.
But
So
really,
they have
when they're taking the fourth
third
player.
pick in the draft has number 3.01.
Here we go. The winner today is the Vancouver Canucks.
play it out. The all
Oh, I
three.
got to keep going. Right. All right. The next winner is the Buffalo Sabres, who are great at
Oh,
taking
that
that
would
second
work
pick
out for the
overall.
Sabres.
And finally, the Dallas Stars. Wow. All right.
The Sabres
The
could get
Avalanche.
Liljegren. They could
Avalanche Coyotes. So there's Vegas. Look, so Vegas comes up number 6 on our chart. There they are. So they're actually not picking. They're picking between 5 and 6, I guess. Right.
Correct your software there.
Where I don't know. I think that I guess these three are still in the lottery, so to speak.
Right.
Or are they not doing that? I thought something was changing. I thought maybe the lottery simulator hasn't been updated.
Well, no.
No, it has been because it included Vegas.
Or is
true.
it that Vegas has the third best chance of winning the lottery?
That's what it is, I think.
Okay.
But they're not in there. Like, hold on. Let's recap this for a second. We're gonna reset the lottery.
I do want to say this
They're
before
not
you
in.
do
Oh yeah,
that.
they are. Sorry, there they are. You're right. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. They have the third best chance of winning the lottery. You're right. Okay.
So if Buffalo got Timothy Liljegren, that would help solve their problem down the road.
Right.
If they
Okay.
could get a defenseman.
So that would work out well for them. All right. That's not what I just did there. I just did another thing. Sorry. That's
So you did Arizona, LA Kings, and the Panthers.
I recorded the official results.
official results have been recorded. All right.
Yes.
So don't worry. Don't worry. We got it down. We're all set. For those of you who are freaking out there.
Oh,
Last thing I want to say, some people are freaking out about my prediction thing. This is the deal, okay? I know it has the Kings and Maple Leafs not winning many games the rest of the way. It's really basic. It's not a prediction thing. It's a projection thing. And so if the Kings and Leafs are playing teams that are better than them right now, that have better points per game averages, and teams that they have not had good records against in the past, they are not going to win another game according to that. That doesn't mean that I believe that's going to happen. I don't think the Leafs and Kings are going to go winless the rest of the way. It just means that according to this, the computer's not going to project an upset based on those factors and other factors that are involved. But those two factors are the main factors. I mean, there's other things in there. There's back-to-back games. There's travel. There's other things that are in there. But really, really that should actually be Leafs fans and Kings fans should be happy about that, because they're still not that far out of the playoffs, and all they need to
All
do
this
is win.
proves is they don't like math.
Right. If they win a couple games, then that they're going to move up. Like if you're predicted to win and you win, you don't move up. If you're predicted to lose and you win, you move up. So the Leafs and Kings, whenever they win, they actually do get a much better chance of making the playoffs. So we'll see how it plays out.
Does pi play into this? Does 3.14 play into this at all? Or the Pythagorean theory, or anything else anything else we don't use in life?
I haven't had it.
Next week. You should know that. All right. Remember that the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you tomorrow.